Welcome to the Culture Ward, where we dissect and dismember pop culture in all its forms. Before we begin, please take a second to hit that subscribe button and help us grow the channel. It really means a lot to us. Please join the conversation in the comments below, and don't forget to like and share the video if you enjoy the content. Now let's get into this. The Marvel Cinematic Universe, or the MCU, officially launched all the way back in 2008 with the release of Iron Man and the Incredible Hulk. While hopes were high that the fledgling franchise would garner a decent fan base, even the most enthusiastic sycophant couldn't have predicted the juggernaut that it eventually became. The MCU is now the best-selling film franchise in the history of everything, having raked in over $30 billion at the box office. Of the multitude of MCU movies that have broken the elusive billion-dollar barrier, the original Black Panther movie, starring Chadwick Boseman, sits in particularly high regard. Now, I personally think this movie is overrated. Cue the cancel mob. It wasn't bad, but I think it's touted more for its cultural significance than for its story or character building. I mean, didn't anyone else notice how patronizing it was to black people? Like, skyscrapers in the most advanced nation in the world literally had thatched roofs, and they had rhino farmers, and battle rhinos, and straw markets, and they chose their nation's leaders with a fight to the death? This isn't how advanced cultures behave. It's racist and embarrassing. Anyway, infantilizing African culture aside, the movie just wasn't that great. However, I will give props to Chadwick Boseman. I really liked his Black Panther. I just liked him more when he appeared in Captain America Civil War. The character was much cooler than in his own movie. But that wasn't Chadwick Boseman's fault. He didn't write the movies. And it was a real tragedy that he died so young, at the peak of his stardom, and kept working while he was battling cancer. But, respect for the actor aside, there is very little reason they couldn't have recast him. He had only been in a couple of movies over the course of a few years: Captain America Civil War in 2016, Black Panther in 2018, Avengers Infinity War also in 2018, and extremely briefly in Avengers Endgame in 2019. So, 4 on-screen appearances in a 3-year period, and only 1 starring role. So while he was undoubtedly great as T'Challa, we recast great actors all the time. Remember when Professor Dumbledore from the Harry Potter series was played by the great Richard Harris? Or Michael Clarke Duncan being recast in Sin City 2 after his untimely death? Or when the Oracle from the Matrix movies was recast when Gloria Foster died? Hell, in the same universe in which the Black Panther exists, Thaddeus Ross was played by William Hurt for almost 2 decades before he was recast by Harrison Ford in the new Captain America Brave New World. My point is that they should have recast T'Challa ahead of Black Panther 2 Wakanda Forever. Instead, they exploited Chadwick Boseman's IRL death to garner sympathy by killing him off in-universe as well. While less cynical people find the in-film tribute touching, I thought it was despicable. Anyway, Black Panther 2 Wakanda Forever released in 2022 and was, by most normal metrics, a success. I mean, it grossed $850 million. The budget was $250 million. If you add in another $100 million for marketing, that brings the total cost up to $350 million. If they receive approximately 50% of the box office, that means they received about $425 million, meaning the profit was about $75 million, which is roughly 20-ish% of $350 million. So I say it was a success by most normal metrics because the first Black Panther made over $1.3 billion at the box office on a production budget of only $200 million, meaning that Black Panther 2 lost at least 35% of the first Black Panther's audience, and 2, the profit margin of Black Panther was about 10 times higher than Wakanda Forever. So yeah, in comparison to the first Black Panther 2 Wakanda Forever was something of a disappointment. And that's just in terms of its profitability. It was also a disappointment because the movie sucked. First and foremost, killing off T'Challa instead of recasting him was a huge mistake, and doing it off-screen without any scenes with him is frankly shocking and unforgivable. Also, Shuri is just not the Black Panther, and she looks ridiculous. No offense to the actress, I can't play Thor, and a 70-pound teenage-looking girl can't play the Black Panther. We all have to accept our limitations. Third, Namor.
No, Namor. I keep joking. Namor.
Namor is over there.
I know we talked to him
El
already.
niño sin amor. Por eso le dicen Namor.
¿En serio?
El niño que creció sin amor.
Yeah, whatever his name is weak and stupid too. He was supposed to be the Submariner, I think, but something happened. Marvel doesn't have the rights to that character or something, I don't know. So they made him into this boring, cartoonish, and nonsensical villain. Fourth, the plot was stupid. So the Wakandans renege on a treaty to share their practically limitless supply of vibranium with the world because reasons. Thus, America, now vibranium-less due to Wakanda's breach of their treaty, is searching for a new source of vibranium somewhere in the ocean. Namor, the fish man, gets mad that humans are searching for vibranium in his ocean home. So he first sends his people, the fish people, to attack the vessel that is searching for the vibranium and kill all the people on board. Then, Fishman wants to kill the scientist that created the vibranium detector that led the humans to his ocean home. It sounds even dumber when I put it all together, but it actually gets worse. In order to kill the scientist that made the vibranium detector, for some reason, he travels all the way to Wakanda, in the middle of the African continent, for some reason, to demand that the Wakandans tell him who the scientist is?
What? What the fuck?
At the same time, America believes that Wakanda is the one that attacked their vessel. So the Wakandans have to go find this scientist who created this bullshit detector, vibranium detector, so they enlist the assistance of this asshole again. And he tells them they can find the scientists at MIT. When Shuri and Okoye travel to MIT, they find that the scientist is a 19-year-old student named Riri Williams.
You serious? You don't know?
Yep, her name is actually Riri.
Everybody knows you never go full Riri.
And grown-ups aren't supposed to laugh like children at stupid shit like this, but sometimes you just can't help it. So Riri is just another teenage girl boss genius, like Shuri, who builds quantum computers and Iron Man suits for fun. And when they meet her and attempt to bring her back to Wakanda, we get this cringe-inducing scene.
Small gap. I am going to give you two options. You can come to Wakanda, conscious or unconscious.
You need to be conscious of the way that you look. Walking around here with that ash on your head.
Oh, it's funny.
No, it's not.
I told
You
you.
look good. Calm down.
Anyway, I'm not gonna spoil the rest of the movie, but trust me, it gets even dumber. Namor wants to kill everyone on the surface, all the people who live on land, with Wakanda's help, and Shuri somehow synthesizes a new Black Panther flower and becomes the 70-pound teenage Black Panther, and defeats Namor by locking him in a room and making it hot so that he dries out. And Riri's there, being geniusy and girl bossy. It's just awful. All that to introduce this new character, Riri Williams.
You went full. Man. Never go full.
Riri Williams.
And oh, everyone loved her character so much
Sarcasm?
Yes.
that Marvel decided to give her her own Disney Plus show. And that show is premiering this week. And it's called Ironheart. Not Iron Man. She's not a new Iron Man. She's not a replacement for Tony Stark. They want to make sure we know that. She's her own character. She's Riri. Ironheart. So, just very quickly, the show follows Riri as she returns home to Chicago. She's an MIT student, but she's in Chicago. But anyway, she returns home to Chicago following the events of Black Panther, where she discovers secrets that pit technology against magic and setting her on a path of danger and adventure. Apparently, she becomes entangled with this guy, Parker Robbins, aka the Hood, and he apparently has magical abilities. Like maybe he has some relation to Mephisto or something. Whatever. He gets Riri to join his gang, and over the course of the series, she's expected to struggle with her identity and morality, and eventually become the superhero she was always meant to be, blah blah blah, Ironheart. Ironheart is based on a comic book character from the all-new, all-different era of Marvel. First appearing in 2016 in Invincible Iron Man #1, in the comics she's a super genius 15-year-old girl, a student at MIT who designs and builds a suit of armor like Iron Man's, using stolen materials from around campus. Apparently, she uses her armor to prevent some inmates from escaping prison, and Tony Stark endorses her. Well, not exactly. An AI of Tony Stark. Tony Stark is dead at this time in the comics. Talks to her, and she takes over as Iron Man in the Iron Man comic book. Originally created by Brian Michael Bendis, she later gets her own comic, titled simply Ironheart, which was once touted as the 45th best-selling comic book in November 2018. Apparently, the character and her standalone comic weren't the most popular books on the shelf, as the Ironheart series was canceled after only 12 issues. In fact, Ironheart was one of a few all-new Marvel characters that were soundly rejected by a majority of the fanbase. What's left of the fanbase, that is. This was acknowledged apparently by a Marvel executive speaking out about Marvel Comics' continued shrinking sales and referring specifically to Ironheart, who was said to replace Tony Stark's Iron Man in the comics. Well, in perfect Disney Marvel form, they couldn't help but to repeat the mistakes of Marvel Comics again. Remember the Marvels featuring Carol Danvers, aka Captain Marvel, and Kamala Khan, aka Ms. Marvel? Two additional all-new, all-diversity Marvel comic characters from comic books that no one bought? Well, The Marvels was the lowest-grossing film in MCU history and one of the biggest box office bombs in all of cinematic history. Likewise, the Disney Plus show Ms. Marvel, featuring Kamala Khan's Ms. Marvel, also suffered from minuscule ratings, which came as a surprise to precisely no one. At any rate, Marvel announced the Ironheart series way back in 2020, and it apparently went into production not long after. In fact, it was reportedly finished filming sometime in 2022. But thanks to the SAG-AFTRA strikes that saved Hollywood...
You sure about that?
Kevin Feige had an excuse to not release it, and it then sat on the shelf for an additional 2 years, almost like Marvel didn't want to release it for some reason. Then a release date was finally announced, and the first trailer was dropped eventually. It seems like they don't really want to build a lot of hype around this show. After watching the trailers and hearing the buzz, I think I know why. It looks awful. Apparently they'll be releasing the first 3 episodes of the show, which only has 6 episodes total, on June 24th, with the remaining 3 episodes to be released weekly, I think? Anyway, while not as bad as the release of Echo last year, when they just dropped the entire series on the same day in the hopes of limiting the media exposure, it still seems like they are hoping to fly under the radar with this show. One insider went so far as to say Ironheart is the worst thing Disney Marvel has ever created, and they just want to bury it. Now, I don't have any confirmation of that, it's just a rumor, but judging by the other clues, like shelving it for 3 years after production wrapped, dropping the first trailer a month before the release date, as well as other insider buzz and rumors, I have little reason to doubt the validity of this particular rumor. Now, I would like to think that things are improving at this point, and this show specifically is just a holdover from the before 4 times.
Clinging to the lie of the before 4 times.
And maybe that is the case. However, alongside rumors that the Fantastic Four movie is going to be heavily focused on Sue Storm and the female Silver Surfer, and the talk by the actors themselves about how their characters are going to be updated for modern audiences, see my previous video about that, and the fact that Thunderbolts was heavily focused on Yelena Belova, aka not Black Widow, it certainly feels like all the lessons learned over the past 5 years or so are still not being heeded, and that the MCU is still alive and well. If that's the case, I'm afraid Marvel will continue to flounder. I hope that's wrong. I would love to see Marvel return to form. Reboot the MCU, purge all this identity politics bullshit. Bring in the X-Men, recast the Avengers, drop these characters that no one gives a shit about, like Agatha, Ms. Marvel, Captain Marvel, America Chavez, Echo, Ironheart. Start over with a clean slate. There are literally decades of stories from the comics, from the Silver Age all the way to the 2000s, that they could adapt that people actually want to see and would be excited about. Stop adapting stories and characters that were developed after 2015. These stories and characters did not sell because people don't like them, and they have practically brought the comic industry to total collapse. They suck. They're not fun, or interesting, or compelling, or even vaguely entertaining, and they need to be ignored. Give the fans what they want, or keep losing millions. Your choice, Marvel. Anyway, Ironheart, as bad as it looks, will probably be good for a few laughs, if nothing else. It premieres Tuesday, June 24th, only on Disney+. Check it out if you have literally nothing else to do. What do you think? Do you think Ironheart will be a hit, or do you think it's another Disney Plus series that's dead in the water? Let us know in the comments. As always, thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Bye for now. We hope to see you next time in the Culture Ward.